The late Mike Wallace did it all here at CBS News, revered as the very model of a hard-driving newsman never one to be pushed aside. His reputation has inspired a new documentary opening in theaters this Friday that, as Rita Braver now shows us, offers plenty of examples of what Mike Wallace did best.
He was doing what? With you. Why? Why? Why?
There was the probing question.
Are you not, perhaps, afraid of what might happen to you as a result of making these revelations?
Oh, yes. I probably am a dead man already.
The distinctive voice.
I don't understand. They must be ashamed of something.
Even the trench coat.
Why are you so reluctant? Why are you so reluctant?
We got to get over here, Mike. We want to just get right over here.
If anyone personified the image of a network television correspondent in the second half of the 20th century, it was Mike Wallace.
The mention of my first guest's name has been known to strike fear into the hearts of brave men and women.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Mike Wallace.
It was Wallace's hard-hitting reports that made him a household name.
You're a son of a bitch. Do you know that?
Oh, come on.
You are a son of a bitch.
As shown in a new documentary called Mike Wallace is Here.
So Mike Wallace is here is the four most dreaded words in the English language back then.
The most dreaded words.
Yes. Back then you used to say if you hear those words, you know you're going to have a bad day.
Did you watch Mike Wallace on 60 Minutes as a kid?
We used to watch, we had like illegal cables that we used to watch some 60-minute shows.
But at 38, Israeli-born filmmaker Avi Belkin is too young to have seen many of Wallace's groundbreaking interviews when they first aired, like this one with Watergate figure John Ehrlichman.
Secret slush funds, laundering money in Mexico, payoffs to silence witnesses, perjury, conspiracy to obstruct justice. All of this by the law and order administration of Richard Nixon.
Is there a question in there somewhere?
The best question that Mike ever asked, which is not a question.
What was it about Mike Wallace that captivated you?
Mike was in a way that changed. Before Mike, news was very objective, was very straight on. Mike had charisma like a star, like an actor. He came from the acting world. He came from performance.
Hello, I'm Mike Wallace with real news.
Indeed, Wallace started out as an advertising pitchman, an actor, and also as a host of early interview shows.
Good evening, I'm Mike Wallace. The show is Night Beat.
He was always obsessed with his career.
I was more interested in my work than in my family.
Were you aware of that as you were growing up?
Sure. He wasn't there.
Mike Wallace's son, Chris Wallace, is anchor of Fox News Sunday. When did your dad start being more of an involved father for you?
When my brother died. I think I was around 14.
Your son died in 1962. Do you ever get over that?
I mean, there's always the memory of this. I mean, Peter was
It changed your life, didn't it?
In the summer of 1962, Peter Wallace, then a student at Yale, was hiking in Greece when he disappeared.
And we went over and found him. He'd fallen off a cliff. You know, what do you say? He was a glorious young man.
After Peter's burial in Greece, Mike Wallace set out to change his life, becoming a better father to Chris and giving up his lucrative commercial work on TV.
It was honest work, but I was not especially proud of it.
He took a job as a CBS News correspondent.
So here we are, Pennsylvania Station. 5 minutes after 7, the lights had been out for about an hour and a half.
When Mike started doing news, he was looked down upon because he didn't come from Harvard. He didn't come from a background of journalism. He had a chip on his shoulder throughout his career because of that.
Then in 1968, producer Don Hewitt recruited Harry Reasoner and Wallace to launch a new kind of television news program,
Good evening. This is 60 Minutes.
where Wallace became master of the ambush interview.
How are you, sir?
What is this?
This is 60 Minutes.
Wow.
You're contemptible. I mean, that's not for the camera. I'd like you to get out of here.
There was no question he wouldn't ask.
How many people did you kill?
5. But I don't think I could kill an innocent person.
It may just have been that you were difficult, Betty.
No.
Not difficult, impossible. I'm nosy and insistent. And not to be pushed aside.
So this was his Rolodex. And
Chris Wallace cherishes the old-fashioned contact list his late father used to track down sources.
But he made the calls himself.
Yeah.
He did the work. He did the reporting.
You know, I don't think there was ever anybody who was any better than him on TV in an interview, but he was first and foremost a great journalist.
Hey, wait a minute. 60 Minutes is in here. Can you believe it? 60 Minutes in here. Hold the phone.
And gradually, 60 Minutes became one of America's top TV shows.
As it started to take off, what was the family reaction?
Complete disbelief.
Oh, this is my favorite one. Gosh. What's your last name?
Wallace, Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace.
It was fun. It was exciting. He was tickled by it, and but we were all really surprised that it happened.
But in 1982, Mike Wallace's world came crashing down.
You couldn't ask for more troops. Therefore, you couldn't let the enemy be perceived as larger.
Well, that is absolutely fallacious. It has no...
Retired U.S. Army General William Westmoreland today filed suit against CBS Incorporated. He charged in federal court that he was liable in a CBS News documentary about enemy troop strength reports during the Vietnam War.
The sham was perpetrated by the unscrupulous and arrogant Mike Wallace.
Mike took that personally and seriously and felt that his whole body of work was under attack.
It hit him in his most sensitive core of his existence, caused him to feel like he's a fraud, and that spiraled him down into depression.
A depression so severe, Wallace revealed to his 60 Minutes colleague Morley Safer that it drove him over the edge.
Did you try to commit suicide at one point?
I've never said this before. No, I tried. I wrote a note, and Mary found it.
In the end, Westmoreland dropped his lawsuit, and Wallace would charge back into his work for 60 Minutes, interviewing some of the most important figures of his time.
Corruption is every place in Russia. Agreed? Why? To get anything done. Money.
He sparred with stars.
And you really believe an extraterrestrial, do they come visit you on the porch? Now you're being unpleasant, Wallace, is what you're saying.
Yes, this is what I was a little afraid of. But you don't have to be that unpleasant. It doesn't become you, you know?
But he always managed to have fun, even at his own expense, as with comedian and director Mel Brooks.
The show...
Is that a $100 watch? Let me see that watch.
It's about a $40 watch.
It's a beautiful watch.
Isn't it?
Yeah, I love that.
It's a $40 watch.
Really?
Yes. Lights up in the dark.
What a cheap son of a bitch you are.
You got the right. You're a great judge of character.
Mike Wallace retired in 2006 at age 88. He died 6 years later, getting to see his son Chris become a big success.
Do you understand why some people feel such disaffection from the mainstream media?
Oh, yeah. No, I think we're wild-eyed commies, liberals. Yes?
That's what they think.
Was it hard to be Mike Wallace's son in journalism, or did it end up opening a lot of doors for you?
Yes, is the answer to the question. And when I became a young reporter, occasionally people would say, hey, Mike, when they meant Chris, And that used to sting. It still happens occasionally today, but I love it because it says to me people will remember him.